What's up, guys? So today's video is gonna be about fourth will. Okay, so when it comes to fourth will, in many ways it's almost similar to first will, right? Because they're both resultative placements. Both are results, and they both view the world, the societal world, in similar fashion. They both view it as top and bottom, kind of categorical way like that, but they, instead of placing themselves at the top as first will would, they place themselves at the bottom. So you can kind of get an idea of how this individual is. So when it comes to their self-perception and ego, this is supposed to be the most humble, the least arrogant volitional placement. Okay, so there's just not much vanity. There's not much focus on being special, on being kind of in positions of leadership, being fighting for power, fighting for leadership, fighting for positions. It is something that just does not interest fourth will. It's something that they will not engage in. They see it as a waste of time, maybe even see it as silly.
That's all I am. A fighter, a killer, and crazy man.
Okay, so that is something to remember. Because of this attitude of humility, as you can see, compared to first will, which can be arrogant, and so the third will, it's quite different. It produces very generous and very patient people, as the sources do say. So fourth will individual is very patient, an easygoing individual. In many ways, almost nine-ish, like a type 9, kind of go with the flow of its environment and kind of adapt. That's what it does best, adapt. Now, since it's not interested in power's sake or climbing the ladder or ambition, it's still receptive to other people. It's receptive to the will of other individuals, which is why it kind of makes for a good combination when you have a first will individual and a fourth will individual, right? Because one is taking the lead and the other is following. So it makes for a great dichotomy in that sense. And while the fourth will individual has weak will, many people forget is that you can place responsibility on their shoulders and they will execute your task with perfection. That is underrated quality about fourth will. They're able to really ditch out their ego, to really abandon the ego, to work on your side, to work on your project, and put in all that time and all that effort so you can succeed, so you can climb the ladder.
I gave you all I had. I did.
And they will do as you tell them to do. You outline the task. And they stay committed. They are often described as a very loyal worker. So in that sense, you can see they can really push their weight, and they can do incredible things if they're given the path. Right. So that is also something to remember. There is a great deal of potential when they're given a path to follow and with a task, and they will do it to their best of abilities. So there is this acceptance of, again, obeying. Many sources do say that this individual does not mind to obey. They often like to please, and they will obey. It's just not. There's no ego reaction that a third will person might have. Like, oh, they're more defiant because their ego's on the line, and obeying is almost a fucking disgusting thing to them. Same with first will. It's just not gonna happen. They just refuse on principle to obey. With fourth will, there's none of that. And that comes from that selflessness, that lack of that ego, that arrogance, right? So to them, they don't attach any importance or weight when it comes to someone leading them or them obeying someone. It does not evoke any wound. It does not evoke any harm in the ego sphere when it comes to fourth will. With third will, it would. The third will might not openly be defiant, but they won't like it. Might showcase itself in a very passive-aggressive way. Or might be very aggressive openly. Depends on the presentation. And same for first will. It's not gonna happen, and all of it is because there's this entitlement when it comes to the first volition and the high evolution and placement. With fourth will, none of that, right? So very adaptable in an individual, and they almost prefer not to bear that responsibility. They almost don't want to deal with the responsibility.
I sent John and Mike scouting out ahead. Arthur and I, we're gonna ride out, see if we can find one of them. And this, just for a short bit. And I don't see what other choice we have. Listen.
So all the decision-making responsibilities, or all of that, they'd rather just give it to you. That in their ideal world, you would deal with it, and they'll just follow. They'll just go along with it, with the plan that you have created. That would be the ideal place for fourth will. Obviously, now, because, again, weak will, having a ton of responsibility is not something that they are born to do, right? They just simply don't enjoy it as much. Causes stress, it's hard. It's not for them. So, give it to someone else. First will. Second will. So, there is that. Now, don't confuse fourth will with a person who, yeah, is gonna just say yes to everything, and because there is some still defiance with fourth will. There are some subtypes and some manifestations where, while fourth will might not sometimes openly say it, they might be stubborn. Okay, so not defiant exactly, but very stubborn. Okay.
Sounds wonderful. Hell, I ain't got much to lose, but you gotta do what's right and cut some loose. John and his family, I'm afraid I have to insist. I mean, we gotta let them go, because if the Pinkertons come through again, they will kill everyone.
John? Insist?
Yeah. Insist.
Very stubborn placement. Some of them might seem, oh yeah, they're going with the flow. They might not even tell you otherwise. But sometimes it's like a fucking trying to move a fucking sloth. It's just not gonna happen. So again, don't be fucking shocked by that kind of manifestation of the placement. But overall, pretty much it. Very and using a more personal example. I mean, I know first will people, I know third will people, and I know fourth will people. Some of my friends are fourth will. My partner's fourth will. So me having strong will and them having weaker will, or being 4V, the dynamic is clear. Just as I said, I naturally might, with my partner, I naturally just might make decisions. It might be small things. Let's eat here, let's go out at this time, let's do this here, let's do it that time, let's watch this movie, so those things are kind of not happening naturally. And the joy of fourth will is that they're not going to make a fuss about it. They're going to go along with it. They're very adaptable people, and they will enjoy activities or things really without, again, causing a fucking big dramatic meltdown. Some people are more picky and more defiant. Oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. With a fourth will person, you give them a suggestion, oh, let's do it today. They'll be happy. Let's go to this park, let's go to that place. They'll be happy, they'll enjoy it, they probably like the experience. And again, they'll go with the flow. So that's the dynamic between those two placements. Now, there are obviously some people who might somehow confuse the first will with fourth will. I think it's actually easier to confuse first physics maybe with fourth physics. With will, I don't think it's as likely. Yes, both are result oriented, but first will places itself at the top, and there is a certain entitlement when it comes to first will. And again, lack of obeying. first will does not obey, and even if you make a suggestion of such, their reaction might be again strong. Fourth will is not going to react that way. That's going to go against the whole program of fourth will. So obeying and fourth will is described as quite obeying and wanting to please, make people happy.
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
Create as less friction as possible, create as least problems as possible, take the least space, not power hungry, not ambitious, not particularly ambitious, not ego driven.
Every day, but don't let yourself get killed for pride. I've seen it kill too many folk.
But again, the advice to four will people and people who are first will and maybe interacting with fourth will, don't take advantage of or be wary of your power and be wary of your control. Be wary of the impact that you have when it comes to this fourth will individual, because it's very fucking easy to misuse that power. I would say most people giving power over someone else, they will misuse it, right? They'll misuse it. They'll fucking jerk themselves off. I mean, come on, that's what happens, right? You give a weak person power, that's what happens. So you need to be wary of the impact you have on the fourth will. Sometimes they might even go fucking along with it, but it's your responsibility to be like, okay, you know what, this motherfucker don't know any better. Nah, man, nah. So because the fourth will, especially when it's unhealthy, it'll just blend in, will become a fucking vegetable, and almost have no sense of self. You know, they become everyone else. They have no sense of self at its worst level. So it's so easy for fourth will to just go along. So advice for fourth will: don't forget who you are. Make sure you don't just almost blend in like a 9-core and just become invisible and adapt to everyone. Find yourself and still try to stick up for what you believe, right? Still have your opinions, still have your thoughts, still have all of your desires, and you can still have that. You can still find that.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I.
Huh?
But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister.
So that would be the fucking way to kind of go around it. But anyway, yeah, it's a fuckfest, okay? It's a big fuckfest. So anyway, that's it, boys. That's it for today. If you have any questions, again, ask in the fucking comment section, and you probably will have other people probably try to answer it for you. So peace out.